You're watching the Law News Network, folks. The judge has just officially declared a mistrial, saying that after 9 to 10 hours of deliberation, the judge was, quote, hopelessly deadlocked. This has been a back and forth this afternoon, the jury in and out of the jury room, ultimately at one point saying that they had a verdict. The verdict was not guilty, reading it, and then upon being polled, it turns out there's actually a split. 7 people on the jury would have voted for guilt, 5 would have voted not guilty. The courtroom security officer had just moments ago told everyone that they had to remain in place in the gallery until the jury was bussed back home, well away from this proceeding. So ultimately, the court security keeping an eye out for the security of the jurors who gave up more than a week of their lives 200 miles away from home to live this proceeding out in a hotel. Of course, legally at this point, if the state so chooses, the state could retry the defendant. We have on the phone right now Melissa, who is our freelance producer who covered this entire trial from Mississippi for us here at the Law News Network. Melissa, thanks for coming on with us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
So what's your reaction to this being a mistrial at this point?
Expected. I really did expect it. But I was saying all along it's either going to be not guilty due to the lack of sufficient evidence. There was just too much reasonable doubt. I mean, they scored a victory with the timeline, but there was just too much, questions. I mean, they saw headlights coming out of a driveway on a black and white grainy video. Can they say for certainty that was her car? No. Can they say that was certainty that he was in that car? No. So, I mean, there's too much reasonable doubt there. The fact that they did not pull his AT&T records known as NELOS, which is Network Location System. It's the same as RTT. Because they deemed them unreliable, I did that, went back and did some research, and that, to me, is just not so. AT&T has a 15-point system that tells you how accurate that ping is. 0 being non-accurate, 15 being, accurate for a certain number of meters. So I think that could have been done by the intelligence specialists.
So
I think it just did not give them the answers that they needed to prove a guilt.
Yeah, and it seems that that's the way the jury split. So, Melissa, let me ask you this. Let's cut to the chase here. What went on this morning here? So, well, let me start from the beginning. You took a photo of this cotton plant that you told us had been presented to someone by the judge. So let's start with the very beginning of this. What was going on? What did you see? Why did you take a picture of it?
It was already dark, pitch dark. We were in verdict watch, and I was going around taking pictures of the various things, the happenings. What are people doing during verdict watch? It had been a long day. It had been a long trial. We'd been going like 12-hour days. And I was going around just taking pictures, of the courtroom observers, the family members, just, the TV cameras on every corner, at every door, just waiting. And as one of these pictures, over in the media kit where I was assigned, there's this big plant. Well, I thought it was a rose bush in the dark, and I know I'm from Mississippi, and I should know what a cotton plant looks like, but it looked like a rose bush in the dark. And I said, what is this, a rose bush? And someone behind me, I don't know whom, because there's tons of media and people out there, and tech crews and camera crews and video guys and audio guys. Someone said, no, that's a cotton plant. The judge brought one of the girls in the media. And I said, oh, okay. So I took a picture of it, and I tagged the picture, look at the cotton plant the judge dug up for a girl in the media. Now, the only reason I did that, my intention at the time was I thought it was a sweet sentiment. That being from Mississippi, we see people that when they come down here all the time, they pull their cars over on the side of the highway. Everybody runs out and grabs cotton as a souvenir. And I thought it was a nice gesture on the judge's part to give someone a cotton plant. I did not know, because I am a freelance producer. This is not my full-time job. I did not know that was a big no-no on the judge's part. A judge is not supposed to gift anything to the media. And I did not find that out until after the picture was out there, and then my phone started blowing up last night, take it off, this, that, and the other. And, of course, I couldn't. So I knew that I was expecting something going down this morning. I fully thought the judge was going to have me called in and ask me about this media post. But it had no racial connotations whatsoever. I mean, what says racism of a cotton stalk? And it wasn't meant to be that way. It was meant as a compliment to the judge when I posted it, because he had gone over and above, I thought, out of his way to protect the integrity of the trial. He's gone above and beyond to take care of the comfort of the jury, making sure they're comfortable. And I thought this was just another nice thing that he had done. So this morning, after we sat up and we were waiting on verdict watch again, it was freezing cold. All the media got in their cars, and I had my car backed up, pointing at the courtroom, and I had earphones in my ears with the sound on. And my cell phone was in my right hand. I had just got off the phone with my editor, Rachel, and my cell phone was still in my right hand. It was on my lap, and I was just leaning back a little bit, just listening, because I was listening to see when the courtroom opened back up. You can hear the chatter, and you know it's time to go on air. And that's when I text you guys, go, 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 that we're about to go on live. So that's where I was, and all of a sudden, that's the reason I didn't see him come up to the car, and I didn't hear him because I had the earphones on. Well, he comes up and he bangs on the car, and
so when you're saying, Melissa, when you're saying this is the guy who testified, who's in court
Barry
security,
Thompson.
Barry Thompson, yes.
And he had a couple of other sheriff's deputies with him, and I see the cameras from all the media starting to circle around the car. So he said, I opened the door, and of course I had to take all the earphones and everything off. And I'm getting out of the car, and I opened the door, and he said, Miss Jones? And I said, yes, sir. He said, step out of the car. I said, okay. So I got out of the car, and he was very ugly. He's very strong and almost in a screaming tone said, did you post a picture on social media with racial slurs last night? And I said, no, sir. And he said, did you not post a picture? And he said, with racial comments? And I said, I posted a picture, but he said, you've got 5 minutes to get out of my county. You've got 5 minutes to gather your belongings. I want you out of Pinellas County, and you are not to ever come back to Pinellas County. And then they stood guard while I went and got all my stuff. So I left.
So there's apparently other media who recorded this entire confrontation?
Yes, sir. And Wilshire Productions, their director was actually there, and he's usually never there. But their director came up to me later with a camera crew as I was packing up my belongings and trying to get assigned someone to TVU, which a friend of mine who's an engineer from Fox 13 in Memphis is taking care of the TVU, so we're still getting the coverage. And they interviewed me. So they also interviewed, there was several cameras pointed when Barry Thompson was telling me to leave or to get out of Pinellas County and don't ever come back.
Okay, so there's a recording of it, and at that point you left, correct?
Yes, sir. After I gave the interview, they came back up to me afterwards, and they said, tell us what just happened. And I told them what just happened. I was a little shaken up, a little upset, really, really angry. But I didn't want to be angry because I really, really wanted to get out of Pinellas County at that point. And I wanted to make sure the equipment was protected and the live feed that we're getting was protected. And even a couple of the other guys from some of the other media, they packed all my stuff up, including my lawn chair I've been sitting in all week, and I left. And I made sure I drove the speed limit home. I made sure I came to complete stops at every stop sign. I was terrified.
All right, well,
and I still am.
We appreciate you covering the case for us, Melissa. You've put a lot of long hours in, and that's, in essence, your version of what went on. We previously aired a conversation our editor-in-chief had with one of the law enforcement officers who you say was involved with this. That. So, you know. And
let me add this there, and I don't want to interrupt, but I want to be sure we get this in. The fact that he lied to me, and I know he lied to me right there in front of the cameras, the fact that he lied to Rachel this afternoon on the phone, it makes you question the integrity
look, I mean,
of the major
let's
Pinellas County Sheriff's Department.
I gave you a chance to sort of, you know, to give your version of what happened, and we'll let things sit for there for now. So I know you put in a lot of long hours covering the case. I appreciate the long hours. We are going to wrap up the broadcast day, though, for now. So, Melissa, thanks a lot for joining us. And that'll wrap up the broadcast day here at the Law News Network. A reminder.